Ambassador Riker Thompson had imagined first contact going a lot of different ways. Maybe there would be inspiring speeches about unity and cooperation. Maybe some cultural exchange where everyone pretended to enjoy each other's weird food. Maybe even a tense negotiation over trade routes or resource rights. What he had not expected was to be handed what appeared to be a doctoral thesis titled, Earth, a comprehensive survival threat assessment, and why we should probably just leave them alone. This is 372 pages long, Dr. Emma Valdez said, flipping through the physical document with the kind of bewilderment usually reserved for finding a rotary phone at an Apple store. They gave us a physical copy. Do you know how expensive it is to print 300 pages in space? They wanted to make sure we understood the gravity of the situation, replied Krelnak, the lead Arthonian researcher, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence like a biological loading screen. He was tall, insectoid, and had the energy of someone who had not slept in 72 hours because he had discovered something truly terrible. Riker looked around the Galactic Council chamber. It was impressive, sure. Vaulted ceilings that seemed to stretch into infinity. Holographic displays floating everywhere. Representatives from what had to be 40 different species, all looking at him and Emma like they were watching a nature documentary where the cameraman was about to get eaten. Okay, Riker said slowly, sitting down in a chair that had been thoughtfully designed to accommodate human anatomy, which he appreciated. So you've classified Earth as a Class 7 death world. I'm going to be honest, that sounds metal as hell, and I'm kind of proud. But why exactly are we here? Because, Krelnak said, his mandibles clicking nervously, we need to understand how your species has survived this long. Our xenobiology teams have been studying Earth's biosphere for 8 standard months. The biodiversity is nightmarish. Your planet is a horror show of evolutionary arms races and biological warfare. Emma raised an eyebrow. I mean, sure, but that is true of most planets with complex ecosystems, is it not? Most planets do not have creatures that can survive in boiling acid, interjected Threxella, a floating jellyfish-looking representative from the Valoran Collective. Or freeze solid and then reanimate. Or your drop bears. Drop bears are not real, Emma said firmly. Australians made those up to mess with tourists. Your planet has tourists who visit the dangerous parts for fun, Threxella replied, shuddering in a way that made her bioluminescent tendrils flicker. This only proves our point. Riker was starting to enjoy this. So what you are saying is, you are all impressed by Earth, because I have got to tell you, this is doing wonders for my self-esteem. Impressed is not the word, Krelnak said. Terrified is more accurate, which brings us to why you are here. He pressed a button, and a holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber. We have identified your planet's apex predator. We need to know your defense protocols, your survival strategies, and how many of your population centers have been lost to attacks. Riker and Emma exchanged glances. This was about to get interesting. Krelnak approached the holographic display like a prosecutor presenting murder evidence. His movements were slow, deliberate, designed to build tension. Around the chamber, representatives leaned forward in their seats. A few had already activated personal shield generators. We began our analysis by cataloging Earth's predator species, Krelnak said, his voice dropping to what Riker assumed was the Arthonian equivalent of a dramatic whisper. Your planet has an alarming number of creatures designed for efficient killing. Bears, sharks, crocodiles, Komodo dragons, the list goes on, but one species stood out above all others. Emma was taking notes on her tablet, equal parts fascinated and amused. Go on. This creature, Krelnak continued, manipulating the hologram to show a silhouette, possesses advantages that put it at the top of Earth's food chain. First, superior night vision, tapetum lucidum reflective layers that allow for hunting in near-total darkness. Prey species have no chance of escape once darkness falls. The silhouette rotated slowly. It was quadrupedal, definitely mammalian. Riker squinted, trying to figure out where this was going. Second, retractable claws. 18 weapons that can be deployed instantly, each sharp enough to tear through flesh and tendon. The retraction mechanism keeps them perpetually sharp, unlike species that wear down their claws through constant ground contact. Okay, that is actually pretty cool, Riker admitted. Third, and here Krelnak's voice took on an almost reverent horror. and skeletal structure that allows them to survive falls from heights that would be fatal to most species. They have a righting reflex, always landing on their feet, distributing impact across their entire body. We have documented falls from over 30 meters with full recovery. A counselor from the back row made a chittering sound that the translation matrix rendered as sweet, merciful void. Lightning reflexes, Krelnak continued, really getting into it now. Reaction times that put them in the top percentile of Earth predators. They can snatch flying prey out of the air. They can dodge projectiles. Their strike speed has been measured at 40 kilometers per hour. Emma's stylus had stopped moving. Riker noticed she was starting to grin. And finally, Krelnak said, his voice reaching a crescendo, they are obligate carnivores, pure predators. Their entire digestive system is designed for meat consumption. Their teeth, their jaws, everything evolved for one purpose: killing and consuming other living creatures. The hologram zoomed in on the silhouette's head, showing a mouth full of sharp teeth designed for tearing. They hunt alone or in small packs. They are patient, capable of stalking prey for hours. They have been documented toying with their prey before the kill, suggesting advanced cognitive function and possibly even sadistic tendencies. They mark territory aggressively and will defend it with extreme violence. Okay, now you're just being dramatic, Riker said, though he still had not figured out which animal they were talking about. Mountain lions, maybe? We have documented cases, Krelnak said, pulling up what appeared to be statistical data, of these creatures killing billions of smaller prey species annually. Billions. On some of your continents, they are directly responsible for the extinction of multiple bird and small mammal species. They are an ecological catastrophe with fur. With fur? Emma repeated slowly, and Riker saw her shoulders start to shake slightly. Yes. And here, Krelnak pressed another button with the flourish of a magician revealing his final trick, is the creature in question. The hologram fully rendered. It was a cat. Not a lion, not a tiger, not even a particularly large wild cat. It was a regular, domestic orange tabby cat, sitting in what appeared to be a sunbeam, licking its paw. The council chamber was dead silent except for the soft hum of the ventilation system. Riker stared at the hologram, then at Krelnak, then back at the hologram. Then he absolutely lost it. His laughter echoed through the chamber, the kind of deep, gasping laughter that bends you double and makes your abs hurt. Emma had her face in her hands, her whole body shaking with suppressed giggles that were rapidly becoming unsuppressed. I am sorry, Riker managed between gasps. I am so sorry, but you are telling me. You spent 8 months studying Earth, wrote a 300-page report, and concluded that Mr. Whiskers is our apex predator. The data is irrefutable, Krelnak said defensively, but his confidence was clearly wavering. The kill count alone. That is a house cat, Emma wheezed. That is somebody's pet. Around the chamber, confused murmuring broke out in about 15 different languages. Emma wiped tears from her eyes, trying to compose herself enough to speak clearly. Okay, I need to explain something. Yes, technically everything you said about cats is true. They are impressive predators for their size. But humans, we live with them. Krelnak's antenna twitched. Yes, we theorized you must have defensive protocols for when they enter population centers. Walls, sonic deterrents, automated defense turrets? No, you do not understand, Emma said, still fighting giggles. We live with them, in our homes, on purpose. The chamber went quiet again, but this time it was the kind of quiet that happens right before someone calls security. You cohabitate with your apex predators? Threxella's bioluminescent tendrils had stopped glowing entirely, which Riker was learning meant she was experiencing deep existential confusion. We do not just cohabitate, Riker said, having finally caught his breath. We invite them in. We feed them, twice a day, sometimes more if they yell at us enough. We scoop their poop out of boxes we keep in our bathrooms. We take them to doctors and pay thousands of credits to keep them healthy. You are describing a hostage situation, said a reptilian counselor from the left side of the chamber. It kind of is, Emma admitted. But we are willing hostages, enthusiastic hostages even. Krelnak was clicking through his datapad frantically, like he could find something in his research that would make this make sense. But the aggression patterns, the territorial behavior, the documented attacks on humans, we have hospital records. Oh, sure. They scratch us sometimes. Riker waved a hand dismissively. Usually when we try to rub their stomachs when they do not want us to. Which is our fault, honestly. We know better. We do it anyway because their stomachs are fluffy. Fluffy, Krelinak repeated flatly. So fluffy, Emma confirmed. She pulled out her phone and Riker knew exactly where this was going. Here, let me show you some videos. She began projecting images from her phone to the chamber's display system. The first image showed a gray cat wearing what appeared to be a tiny sweater with a reindeer on it. This is my cat, Professor Muffins, Emma said proudly. He has 7 sweaters. He hates all of them. I put them on him anyway because he looks adorable. The next video showed a cat deliberately pushing a glass off a table while maintaining eye contact with the camera operator. That is a compilation titled Cats Being Jerks, Emma narrated. It has 400 million views. Humans watch this for entertainment. Why would you allow this behavior? Asked a crystalline being whose name Riker could not pronounce. Because it is funny, Riker said simply. Also, what are we going to do? Stop them? Have you seen the claws you were so impressed by? They use those on the furniture too. We just buy new furniture. Emma was scrolling through more images now, really warming to her subject. Oh, here is a good one. This is the entire social media account dedicated to people talking to their cats in baby voices. It has 12 million followers. She played a video where a grown man held a cat up to his face and said in the most ridiculous voice imaginable, "Who is a fuzzy-wuzzy murder machine? You are. Yes, you are." Several council members appeared to be having some kind of crisis. But the kill count, Krelinak said weakly. The billions of prey animals. Oh yeah, that is a problem, Emma admitted. We have had to implement some conservation efforts because cats are really good at killing things, but our solution was not to eliminate the cats. Our solution was to put little bells on collars around their necks so birds can hear them coming. We handicapped our apex predators to make it fair for the birds. You helped the prey species? Threxella sounded like she was about to pass out. Some people keep their cats inside entirely, Riker added. Never let them out at all. The cats stare out windows looking sad, and the humans feel guilty about it, but they do it anyway to protect local bird populations. We prioritize the feelings of small birds over our apex predators. This cannot be real, Krelinak said, but he was looking at Emma's phone like it might bite him. This must be propaganda. Misinformation designed to make you appear non-threatening. Dude, Riker said, pulling out his own phone. I have got 73 pictures of cats on my phone, and I do not even own one. I just save them when I see funny ones on the internet. Want to see a cat wearing a shark costume riding a robot vacuum cleaner? There is no way your entire species, Krelinak started. There are approximately 600 million pet cats on Earth, Emma interrupted. That is nearly 1 cat for every 13 humans. In some countries, there are more cats than children. We have entire industries built around making toys for them, food for them, furniture for them to scratch up instead of our furniture, which they scratch up anyway. We have also domesticated wolves, Riker added casually. That caused a fresh wave of chaos. Apparently the council had files on wolves too. You domesticated wolves? A 6-legged mammalian representative stood up so fast she knocked over her chair. Pack hunters? With bite forces that can crush bone? Yep, we call them dogs now. We bred them into hundreds of different shapes and sizes, including some that are small enough to fit in a purse and physically cannot survive without human intervention. We did that on purpose, for fun. Emma nodded enthusiastically. Some dogs are so inbred they cannot breathe properly, and we still keep breeding them because humans think they are cute when they snort. Your species has a death wish, Threxella said with absolute certainty. Maybe, Riker shrugged. But like I said, we are having a great time with it. Threxella floated forward, her tendrils pulsing with what the translation matrix suggested was deep concern mixed with professional fascination. I am the Veleran Collective's leading xenopsychologist, and I have studied thousands of species across hundreds of systems. This behavior pattern you are describing is clinically insane. That seems harsh, Emma said. You take predators into your homes. You feed them. You clean their waste. You pay for their medical care. You dress them in clothing. You speak to them in infantile voices. And they provide you with what, exactly? Protection? Labor? Resources? Companionship, Riker said. Also, they are warm and soft. Warm and soft, Threxella repeated. her voice taking on the tone of someone documenting symptoms for a psychiatric evaluation. You risk injury and property damage for tactile comfort and emotional satisfaction. Do not forget the internet thing, Emma added helpfully. Humanity's global communication network runs approximately 30% on cat videos, maybe 40%. I have not checked the latest statistics. Krelnak was furiously taking notes. Your entire information infrastructure is partially dependent on images of apex predators? Not just images, videos of them falling off things, getting scared of cucumbers, fighting with printers. We find their failures entertaining. Riker was enjoying this way too much. There is a whole genre dedicated to cats screaming at humans. Millions of views. But the wolves, the six-legged counselor said, still standing. Surely the wolves serve a purpose. Oh, totally, Emma said. We bred some of them to herd other animals we also domesticated. We bred some to pull sleds. We bred some to find lost people. And then we bred some to just sit on couches and look cute. Those are the most popular ones. We created a breed called a pug, Riker said, pulling up an image. Look at this thing. It can barely breathe. Its eyes sometimes pop out of its skull. We think it is adorable. Several counselors made distressed noises. We also keep spiders, Emma mentioned casually. As pets, people buy tarantulas and keep them in glass containers in their bedrooms. Spiders? This came from at least 5 counselors simultaneously. Some people keep snakes, constrictors big enough to kill them if they wanted to. We feed them rats and mice, which are rodents we also sometimes keep as pets, which creates ethical complications that we mostly ignore. There is a whole industry around keeping sharks in large tanks, Riker added. Sharks. We capture ocean predators and put them in our homes and businesses for aesthetic purposes. Threxella's glow had returned, but now it was pulsing erratically. This confirms my diagnosis. Humanity has a species-wide death wish. You are drawn to danger. You seek out predators. You romanticize your own mortality. Or, Riker said, leaning back in his chair with a grin, we just think dangerous things are neat. Is that so wrong? Yes, came the unanimous reply from at least half the council. Krelnak had been quiet for almost a full minute, which Riker was learning meant the Arthonian was either processing information or having a breakdown, possibly both. Finally, the researcher's mandibles clicked rapidly, and he looked up from his datapad with what might have been desperation in his 4 eyes. Fine. Clearly, our assessment was incomplete. If cats are not your apex predators, if you have somehow bent the most efficient killers on your planet to your will, then what is your apex predator? What creature on Earth does humanity actually fear? Emma and Riker looked at each other. The question hung in the air between them like a grenade with the pin pulled. Should we tell them? Emma asked quietly. I mean, they are going to figure it out eventually, Riker replied. Tell us what? Threxella demanded, and several other counselors echoed her concern. Emma stood up, adopting the professional tone she usually reserved for academic conferences. Okay, so, humans are persistence hunters. We are not the fastest species on our planet, not the strongest, not even close. But we can run longer than anything else. We can track prey for days, literally days, until it collapses from exhaustion. Then we kill it. We also throw things, Riker added. Better than any other species on Earth. Our shoulders, our arms, our visual processing, everything evolved to let us throw rocks and spears with deadly accuracy. We can kill from a distance. We are also bipedal endurance specialists, Emma continued. We can carry tools while we move. We can traverse terrain that would exhaust quadrupeds. We sweat, which means we can regulate our body temperature better than almost anything else. We can hunt in the middle of the day when other predators have to rest. Krelnak was typing frantically now. But surely, these are survival adaptations, not, we are also spite-based evolution champions, Riker interrupted. Seriously, humans looked at plants that evolved capsaicin to keep mammals from eating them, plants that literally cause pain when consumed, and we said, cool, let us breed these to make them even more painful, and then have contests to see who can tolerate the most pain. We call them hot peppers. We put them on everything. Same with alcohol, Emma said. Ethanol is literally poison. Our livers have to work to break it down. It impairs our judgment and motor control. We discovered it makes us feel funny, so we have been deliberately poisoning ourselves for 10,000 years. For fun. We have entire industries built around different ways to poison ourselves. We domesticated aurochs, Riker said, and he could see several counselors pulling up files on aurochs. Massive, aggressive bovines that could gore a person to death. We turned them into cows. We milk them. We eat them. We bred them to be docile. We did the same thing with wild boars, which are terrifying. We turned them into pigs. Bacon. What is bacon? Asked the crystalline counselor. Delicious murder, Riker said simply. Emma pulled up an image on her phone. We also domesticated horses. These animals weigh half a ton. They can kill a human with a single kick. Their hooves can crush a skull. Our ancestors looked at these creatures and decided to climb on their backs and make them carry us around. For transportation, for sport, for war. You ride your predators? Krelnak sounded faint. Horses are not technically predators. They are herbivores, but they are still super dangerous, Emma clarified. The point is, humans looked at something that could kill us and decided to make it our servant. We do this constantly. It is kind of our thing. Riker stood up, moving to stand next to Emma. You want to know Earth's apex predator? It is us. It has always been us. We are persistent, tool-using, cooperative hunters with complex language and abstract reasoning. We can survive in almost any environment on our planet. Deserts, tundra, jungles, mountains. We are everywhere. We drove dozens of megafauna species to extinction, Emma said, her tone becoming more serious. Mammoths, giant sloths, saber-toothed cats. If we could not domesticate it, we killed it or pushed it out of our territory. The only large predators that survived were the ones that learned to avoid us. And the ones we thought were cute, Riker added. We let those live because we liked looking at them. The council chamber had gone completely silent again, but this time it was different. This was not confusion or amusement. This was dawning realization. So, when you encountered cats, Krelnak said slowly, creatures that could hunt efficiently, survive falls, kill with precision, we thought they would make nice pets, Emma finished. Because to us, they are small, manageable. We are bigger than them, stronger than them. We have opposable thumbs and they do not. So we just domesticated them, like we do with everything. You are the apex predators, Threxella said, her voice barely a whisper. You have been sitting here this whole time, laughing at our assessment. And you are the apex predators. I mean, technically yes, Riker said with a shrug, but we prefer to think of ourselves as friendly, mostly. In the back row, a small amphibian counselor quietly fainted, sliding out of their chair with a soft thump. Nobody moved to help them. Everyone was too busy staring at the two humans standing calmly in the center of the chamber. The humans who kept apex predators as pets. The humans who poisoned themselves for entertainment. The humans who had conquered their entire planet and then got bored and started making videos of cats. Oh God, Krelnak said, all four eyes widening. You domesticated yourselves, didn't you? You are predators who domesticated other predators. It is predators all the way down. That is actually a pretty good way of putting it, Emma said cheerfully. Riker grinned. So, do we get to join your galactic council or what? The vote took approximately 4 minutes, which Riker suspected was a record for galactic bureaucracy. Earth's application for council membership passed unanimously, though he noticed several representatives kept their distance when casting their votes. The treaty is simple, Krelnak said, his voice slightly hoarse as he projected the document. Earth is granted full membership with all associated rights and privileges. However, Amendment 734 states that humans may not transport domesticated predators to other council worlds without advance notice and explicit permission from local governments. That seems reasonable, Emma said. Amendment 735 states that humans must provide warning labels on any food products containing capsaicin levels above. Krelnak checked his notes. Actually, any capsaicin at all. Several member species have metabolisms that would classify your hot sauce as a chemical weapon. Also reasonable, Riker agreed, making a mental note that hot sauce was apparently a potential diplomatic incident waiting to happen. And finally, Threxella added, still keeping what she probably thought was a safe distance, humans are restricted from breeding new domesticated species from other planets' wildlife without explicit environmental impact studies. We cannot risk you turning someone's endangered apex predator into a purse-sized companion animal. You do that one time, Riker muttered. The treaty signing took another 20 minutes, mostly because the Council wanted everything documented and witnessed. Riker noticed they had suddenly become very concerned with paperwork, probably wanted proof they had not just willingly invited predators into their organization. As they prepared to leave, Emma turned back to Krelnak, who was organizing his 300-page report with the defeated energy of someone whose thesis had just been completely demolished. "Hey, one thing I should mention," she said casually. "Cats are actually not even in the top 10 most popular pets on Earth." Krelnak's antennae drooped. "What is number 1? Dogs. The domesticated wolves I mentioned. We have about 470 million of those." "Of course you do," Krelnak said weakly. Riker leaned over to Emma as they walked toward the exit. "You did not mention horses. What about them? The whole riding thing, how we put metal in their mouths and leather on their backs and make them run in circles for our entertainment. How we bred them into dozens of sizes from ponies to draft horses. How some cultures use them as weapons of war." Emma grinned. "I figure we should save something for the second contact meeting. Keep them on their toes." "We should probably also not mention that we split the atom and immediately used it to make bombs," Riker added. "Or that we went to our own moon just to prove we could. Or that we invented plastic and then filled our oceans with it by accident. Or that we created artificial intelligence and our first instinct was to teach it to make art and write poetry," Emma said. "That one really confuses people." They reached the transport bay, where a shuttle waited to take them back to Earth. Behind them, they could hear the council chamber erupting into what sounded like a very heated debate about whether they had made a terrible mistake. "Think they will be okay?" Emma asked. Riker shrugged. "They will adapt. Everyone does eventually. Besides, wait until they find out about Florida." "We are not telling them about Florida." "Oh, we are definitely telling them about Florida. But maybe at the third meeting. Let them process the cats first." As the shuttle doors closed, Riker caught one last glimpse of Krelnak frantically updating his report, probably adding a new section titled, "Humans, the actual apex predator and why we should have checked that first." The shuttle lifted off, carrying Earth's first official ambassadors back home, where 470 million domesticated wolves and 600 million domesticated murder machines waited for their dinner. Apex predators, Riker thought with a smile. Humanity had conquered their entire planet, bent nature to their will, and achieved technological civilization. And then they had used that civilization to make sweaters for cats. Threxella was right. They probably did have a death wish, but they were having a really good time with it.